is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news and intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversations. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
Yeah, it's time to empower, educate, and encourage all women to motivate you through whatever you've been going through. We can talk about it. We ain't passing no judgment. So don't be ashamed. It's all the same. Stay in your lane. Your lane. It's whatever your real life looks like. Stay in your lane. Come out the dark and don't be ashamed. Your lane. Let's have a conversation on what we face every day. Tune into your lane talk show. It makes us feel good just to know we're not alone. No more will we feel isolated and cast aside. I want you to come out the dark. Just don't be afraid of your heart. So don't be ashamed. It's all the same. Stay in your lane. Your lane. It's whatever your real life looks like. Stay in your lane. Come out the dark and don't be ashamed. Your lane. Let's have a conversation on what we face every day. It's your lane talk show with Coach Trish, Hanna.
Hello. Welcome everyone to Your Lane Talk Show. It's your coach Trish Hanna broadcasting live from Nassau, Bahamas on Guardian 96.9 FM dial. If you are joining us for the first time, welcome to the show. This is the show where we empower, encourage, and educate women of all ages. Of course, like I've always said every Sunday, this is not just a show for women, even though I say that because we have a lot of men that tune into the show, a lot of men that call into the show, and we will continue to welcome the men to call in and tune in as well. All right. We want to let you know that we are boldly walking in our lane as God has designed for us to. And of course, this show is one, if you're listening for the first time, this is one where, we talk about topics that are, in most cases, not familiar, or people may not be as tuned or familiar with when it comes to like churches. But, it's a faith-based show. Okay, so of course, there are certain topics that we will cover, but we will cover it from a biblical perspective. But nonetheless, we are a show where you're literally stepping out of the four walls, as we've always mentioned. So intermedia, so discussing the topics that you may not typically hear in your church. And if you do, there's only so much or so far that they can actually extend that conversation, right? So this is what we are, this is what we do, and we're excited to have you on board. Now, last week, our topic was titled Holiday Menus and Festive Flair. We had with us Chef Simeon Hall Jr. Now, Chef was ruffling some feathers. There's some people who was very much mad at him because it was like, who tell you tell me I can't do my turkey like this, and this is how my rice supposed to be, and my macaroni, it was an exciting show. It was an enlightening show. Chef is an artisan and a food ambassador, so of course he knows a thing or six, all right? And he's a true Bahamian culinary culture, a true Bahamian that gives or distributes the culinary and culture of our land, I would say, our Bahamian culture and our land. So, of course, you would get whenever he goes to Japan or goes somewhere in New Zealand, etc., some of the places that he says he's been, he brings the culture along with him. So he says, the typical sheep tongue sauce and all these different things that he would do, the tuna and grits and all the stuff, he makes sure incorporates the Johnny cake and all these things along with him when he goes and he tells the Bahamian story. Now, of course, if you want to tune into that particular show, it's episode 153 on YouTube. Just look up Coach Trish Hanna, Your Lane, episode 153. The title, once again, is Holiday Menus and Festive Flair. Now, today is a little bit more. Now, we done had all the little fun and excitement. We done eat. We know how to deal with our guests and all these other things. But what happens when our guest comes to us, right? And we notice that something's a little bit off about them. What happens when we see our children who once upon a time the neighbor's child or our niece, our nephew come and they used to be so excited about just being around family, and now they're in a point where they see him despondent, or they see him far-fetched. They see him, that they want to distance themselves a bit. That something is off. So when you're having your Christmas events and holiday activities, these are some of the things that we do notice. And then sometimes we just brush it off and be like, oh, this child is having a bad day, or this woman seems to be, I guess, moody today, right? But today we are lifting the veil of domestic violence, because we know that sometimes it could have a look, and sometimes it could put on a look, right? Sometimes you can actually see something is off, and then there are times that people tend to put on a mask. So we have with us, I'll talk about that part later, right? We're gonna shine the light on the hidden pain a little bit, just a little bit, and one that is affecting so many people, even in our country. We're gonna shine the light on that a little bit, and for those who are feeling trapped or unheard and afraid, we're going to shine a light on that for you as well. All right. Now, every day we know that women and children suffer in silence behind closed doors. You hear the screams, the fear, the emotional scars, and these are realities that so many families have to deal with. But the truth is this: love is not supposed to break. Love is not supposed to silence you, and love is not supposed to hurt. Right? Right? Okay. This conversation matters because awareness saves lives, support restores hope, and healing begins when silence is broken. Now I could say, joining us today, we have with us the Zonta Club of Nassau and the Zonta Club of New Providence as guests, and we're going to discuss how we can protect, empower, and stand with women and children who may be experiencing abuse. Now, before I get into it, I want to give you a moment to call, text, WhatsApp, share the page, whatever it is that you have to do for this particular broadcast with anyone you know who may be or who may have experienced domestic violence in any form, or anyone who needs to get a better understanding of what domestic violence is all about. This conversation could literally save a life. I have to emphasize the fact that it can, because knowledge does that, right? It is through knowledge that the just be delivered. That's what the Word of God says. Domestic violence is not just hitting. It's not just physical harm. And I've learned that from another show that I did previously that spoke about, you could just think, or you may normally think that, okay, if this person doesn't have a scar on their face, or there's no bruises, that they're fine, right? No, it doesn't work like that. Domestic violence could be any pattern of behavior used to control, manipulate, dominate, intimidate another person. All right. And it can look like emotional and verbal abuse. It can look like financial control, isolation from family and friends, threats and fear, spiritual manipulation, and yes, physical and sexual abuse. The phone's done lighten up. Give me a chance. Caller, just give me one moment. Let me just get this out the way, and I would be delighted to hear your voice. All right? We will be delighted. It happens in marriages and relationships, and sadly, even in homes where children should feel the safest. All right? We're going to uncover all of that today. There are lots of ways that we can be heard. You can tune in to, obviously, Guardian 96.9 FM radio dial. We're also on channel 969 on cable. We're on BTC Flow channel 612, the Guardian radio app for those who have it for Apple or Android, and the website www.guardiantalkradio.com. And if you are a Facebook user, you can go to Your Lane Life Coaching on Facebook, or if you're a YouTube user, you can go to Coach Trish Hanna, and we're live, all right? So you can be able to see these beautiful faces. I have some beautiful faces in front of me, and they're excited to share. So as you share this broadcast, remember there's someone you know may be suffering silently. So today we are breaking that silence, okay? And can I dare say, in the name of Jesus, all right? We already have comments in. Give me a second. All right, good. That's perfect. Now, let me see if I can get our ladies on so they can see. Let's go, Chris. Let's get the cameras on the ladies. And while we're doing that, let me see if we could take a quick call. Good afternoon, Your Lane Talk Show. How may we help you?
In the authority of Christ Jesus. Good. A godly day to all.
Godly day.
Now, what I want to find out, right? This this show in which you display, in which you establishing, right? Is it going to be a series of shows?
A series of shows. Yes, sir. Every Sunday at 3:30, we'll be broadcasting live with various topics that will cover anything regarding our women. Now, is there anything that you want to share regarding today's topic?
I just want to listen to you all.
Yes, sir.
And anyhow, I just want to listen to you all.
That's no problem. Thank you so much for
again, by the way,
Yes, sir.
I have a pretty daughter. She is so pretty, I wish I could have seen her.
Okay.
My name is Bremen Darling Ferguson. Hanna is a good name. I'll just continue listening to your show. Do well.
Thank you, sir. God bless you. Thank you, Chris, for allowing us to receive that call. All right, so let's get into it. We have with us Zonta Club of New Providence and Zonta Club of Nassau guests with us today. The topic, once again, is Love Shouldn't Hurt, Ending Domestic Violence Against Women and Children. So we're going to start with this beautiful face in the front of me. Please introduce yourself and, of course, your role in the Zonta Club.
Good afternoon, Bahamas. Good afternoon, Trish. Thank you for having us here this afternoon. My name's Odessa Francis, and I am representing the Zonta Club of New Providence. I've been in the club for about 4 years now, and I am the treasurer.
Thank you so much and for those who don't know, or those who've been tuning in and Odessa is very much familiar with Your Lane, especially on the side with Star 106. I think this is our first time on Guardian Radio.
First
well,
time.
we're just so delighted to have you back,
Thank
Odessa,
you.
in the capacity of a guest today.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And to your left.
Good afternoon, Madam Host and our radio listening audience. My name is Latoya Johnson, and I am the past president of Zonta Club of Nassau and also the past area director for Area 3 for Zonta International, District 11. Thank you. I'm happy to be here and looking forward to the conversation.
Welcome, Latoya. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Bahamas. Thank you again, Ms. Hanna, for having us here today. My name is Michelle Forbes, and I presently serve as the president of the Zonta Club of the Bahamas, of Nassau,
That's nice.
in the Bahamas.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ladies, for being a part of this show. Your Lane Talk Show, episode 154, Love Shouldn't Hurt, Ending Domestic Violence Against Women and Children, is brought to you by John Shoe Store and Accessories, Airwick, distributed by Thompson Trading, Tropical Gyros, Your Lane Life Coaching, Del Monte, distributed by Thompson Trading, Zonta Club of Nassau, and Children's Dream Journal. In Jeremiah 1 verse 5, God says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart." That same truth applies to your children. Before they ever entered this world, God already placed purpose and destiny inside of them. But purpose attracts warfare, and that's why the enemy often targets children early, even through their dreams. His goal is to plant fear, confusion, or shame to silence the very gifts God placed within them. The Children's Dream Journal helps you capture those dreams and guide your children's destiny with prayer and purpose. Available now at All Seasons Book and Gift Center, Palmdale Shopping Center, and you can also find it on Amazon. All right, so thank you so much to our sponsors. Now to the Zonta Club of Nassau and New Providence. My first question is, for those who may not be familiar with what Zonta Club is all about, what is your mission here in the Bahamas? Of course, we're going to ask Madam President to answer that question, please.
The mission of Zonta is to advocate for the rights of women and girls, and we do this through service and through advocacy. We also seek to raise awareness to different things that affect women. Right now, we're focusing on 16 days of activism, and the focus is on gender-based violence. So right now, we're here to focus on 16 days of activism and shining a light on ending violence against women and girls.
Now, like it stated before, there is Zonta Club of Nassau and Zonta Club of New Providence. Is there a difference?
That we're all one.
You're all
That's why
one.
we're coming together as Zonta Clubs of the Bahamas to speak on 16 days, and Zonta says no to violence. So we're all one.
Okay. So, what inspired Zonta to focus so strongly on ending violence against women and children? And how did this become a priority for the organization?
Well, this came at an international level. It started in 2012, and we saw the need to raise awareness to the public about violence against women and girls. And sometimes persons only look at the physical form of violence, as you mentioned earlier. But it's not just physical, it's also psychological or emotional, sexual or financial abuse. And so we look at educating the public, raising awareness, and distributing literature so persons can be more aware of the different types of violence or abuse and what to look out for, those signs, so we can be our brother's keeper.
Okay. So I don't know if Adassa or Latoya want to answer this question. You know, Madam President stated, look at, the red flags, etc. How can you tell, what are some early red flags that can be shown in relationships that women often overlook or perhaps normalize?
Well, one of the things I think we can look at, and we have a program where we do healthy relationships in the schools. And one of the things we try to tell the young people, we teach them about healthy relationships and we teach them about things not to do. So some of the things we told them to look out for, sometimes you have a friend that seems to be isolated, or you seem to have a friend that has someone that forces them to be isolated. So you look at persons that look like they're just shunning attention, they look depressed all the time. Even in school, sometimes as teachers, we listen to what the children are saying. Those are also red flags. Sometimes you're having just a general conversation and they say something that's way out of their league as children. So those are the things you look for. And of course, you have co-workers on the job. You realize that they're also like shunning attention, or you may actually see physical bruises on them. You may see if something falls, they may jump. There are a whole lot of telltale signs that can actually tell you when someone is in a position where they are being abused. Even she talked about the financial abuse. You may see some people when you having a conversation and the minute you talk about money, they shut up because someone is controlling their lives. So a lot of people lure people into relationships where they're using money to hold them hostage. So there's a whole lot of things that we can look at that actually represent signs of abuse in women, girls, throughout the nation.
I love that. Latoya, you want to piggyback on that?
She said a mouthful there, along with Madam President. But I'd also like to say that there's a PSA that comes on, I think it's Guardian as well, that talks about a lady who's being abused, and two ladies, are talking about it, and then one of them said that silence hides violence. So that whole situation where things are going on in silence, and sometimes we have to be our sister's keeper, and we have to speak up for them, and we have to watch what's going on, and sometimes they can't talk for themselves. Several years back, we used to do a board. Zonta would put a board up at some locations, like the grocery stores. I think we did it in a shopping center before, and we would just ask people can you write something on the board about violence and about, stopping the violence against women and girls. And sometimes we would see some persons walking by that board with a partner, with a spouse, and looking and just saying, I want to stop, I want to see, I want to. And sometimes they may inquire and question, but they can't go any further. Just listen to what it is that we're saying. And then we can watch them as they're walking away. And it seems like on their face, they want to say something. So what we do a lot of times when we were doing that project is we would say, why don't you write something on the board for someone that you know? Why don't you write something on the board to encourage others who may be going through? And you never know, someone who wrote on that board may be may have been writing something for themselves. So that was a powerful activity that we would have done over the years. Probably we can look into doing that in the future.
I love that. Have you seen any measurable impact on doing things like that, or any success stories from your initiatives?
Yes, we would have during those same times. We would have persons who would have returned to us like the following years when we would be in the public, because 16 days of activism, it comes and then it goes, and then we get into the Christmas holidays, and then life just keeps on moving on. But we have had persons who would have come back to us at other events and activities and said, I saw you all, you were out there, and I thank you all so much. Y'all don't understand what I was going through. I mean, some persons we would have to right on the spot get counseling and give them guidance and, give them the information for the crisis center and other agencies to help them out and support them. So yes, it was very powerful, and that's why I said that came to mind. The silence hides violence, because a lot of times people are sitting in silence and going through, and once they see that there's someone out there who cares and who actually is willing to advocate on their behalf, they get a bit more courage to come forward and speak up.
That is beautiful. You want to say something?
Just to add to what Past Air Director Latoya mentioned, when we share to the public various venues, whether it be forums or in person with various assemblies, sometimes your persons approach you afterwards asking for more information, or for persons to go to other forums to mention and share their activities and information. So we find that we have even growth in membership because of advocating for rights of women and girls. Persons want to join, and actually spoke to someone who actually joined the club because Zonta was advocating for the rights of women and girls and speaking on their behalf, to have that voice. You're not alone. We had the support. And so we see the importance of sharing that literature with the contact numbers, such as the Crisis Center, the Domestic Violence Unit, and other numbers that can help. Because the person may not be able to talk, they may be able to get the literature in which they can share with someone who's being abused or for themselves. And so we see the importance of always shining a light and giving the information to the public so they can know that they're not alone.
Right.
There's a voice out there. We will help you elevate your voice so that we can end violence against women and girls.
I love that. But let's talk just briefly about perhaps some of the biggest challenges that Zonta may incur. Like, do you face challenges where advocating for women and children becomes an issue? Perhaps maybe from a male that's saying, hey, y'all should not be doing this, or maybe for lack of support from other financial institutions, et cetera. What seems to be your biggest challenge at the moment with advocating?
I would say with anything would be funding. You can never have too much money, especially when it comes to raising awareness. Whether you have the forums, the literature, going on various programs to advise the public on what to look out for, those telltale signs. I would say more funding, but we are appreciative of persons who fund the campaign on an annual basis, and some persons who don't want to be disclosed. You have persons who would assist to get that message out there. But we also appreciate the partnership, though, with the government, who would assist us in getting our voices heard and give us a larger platform. But funding would be the biggest one.
Okay, so now let's get into it. Now, I know I got directives that we want to hone into the women and children specifically, because of course, we have violence with men as well. All right, but let's say if we were to go, let's talk about the women, of course, at first. What are some things that you would want to share for those who are tuning in? Let's say specifically those who are presently in domestic violence in relationship at the moment, and they need some sort of help or advice on what to do. So let's get practical here. We know that these are some signs, as you have stated before, but what is my first sign of wanting, if I want to leave, what is the first thing that I need to do?
Well, just thinking about it, at the end of the day, persons are going to have to reach out to somebody they trust. That's the bottom line, because I'm sure we've all seen situations where we as individuals would have tried to intervene in a relationship, or that where we have seen somebody actually in an abusive situation and they want help, but then we reach out and we try to help them in some form or some form and they reject that help. So I would say persons that are going through domestic violence, it's really important to understand that there's a village that's ready to assist you. There's a people out there that actually wants to help, that wants to pull you out of that situation. Nobody is supposed to live in that type of situation. So feel free to reach out to somebody you trust. If it's a pastor, if it's a family member, maybe a sister, there are people that you can reach out to. Find that confident person that you have inside your life. Find that safe place where you can actually go and reach out, because at the end of the day, as many people out there would love to help, we cannot help if we don't have the permission to help. And we don't want you to wait until it's the end of your life for everyone to say, well, nobody saw her, nobody tried to help. But you'd be surprised to know how many people would have reached out and they would have been pushed back because, the person just wasn't ready or they were afraid. But I would say step out of that place of fear and reach out to somebody so that there can be assistance.
Latoya, you referenced the commercial on Guardian Talk. I was one of the talents, actually. Not me to be sitting up next to Cora or laying up next to, not me. Let me tell you something. That is a serious thing, because we have in this, they say, child, I drinking my water and minding my business. I ain't into that, because next thing you know, they try have me, in the grave, and I not. So how can we talk to those who have seen something but don't want to say anything?
So
How do we encourage them?
So we can encourage them by advising that there are places and spaces that you can go and where you can be protected. The Crisis Center has a hotline that's open 24 hours, 3280922. You can call someone to let them know about your problems, any issues that you're going through. They'll step you through it, and if you need to come in and speak with a counselor, they'll set that up for you, and that is totally confidential. And so we want to try to get people to understand that there is safety out there for you in different places and spaces. There's also, like Modesta said, pastors that you can go to. That can be a first step. So, I mean, there are places where you can go to where you don't have to tell them all your business one time, but you can just say, or sometimes you can say, hey, I have a friend. Or what if my friend is looking like this? So, like in the Cora situation, Cora, you all saw Cora having problems, but y'all ain't trying to get in Cora business. No. But you could tell someone that, I think things may be going on with Cora. Can you speak to her? If you know the church that Cora goes to, you can go by Cora's pastor and say, Pastor Smith, I don't like how things looking around the corner where we live with Cora. Can you, have a sit down or go take a visit, do a health and wellness check on Sister Cora, probably take her some groceries and, just go talk to her and see what's going on. Because I think when people really feel that you come to them from a place of caring and actual real concern and not just wanting to get in their business and, tell somebody else what's going on, then they open up to you and they will be able to tell you, and then you will be able, because you're the person who is more in the position of strength, to be able to get them the help that they need, whatever that help it is at the time.
Okay, I don't know if you all can answer in this perspective, but what practical steps a woman should take if she feels unsafe but is not yet ready or able to leave the relationship? I don't know if anyone can speak on that.
So I'll start it off, but back to the Crisis Center, and I'm also a volunteer of the Crisis Center, and it's something how a lot of these issues are kind of circular. So being a partner or being a member of the Zonta Club got me into the space to advocate, to educate, advocate, and empower. And during those times, we also partner with the Crisis Center to help us out and to put the information or to go and speak to in certain places and spaces, because they've been trained and they have the information. They would have been trained have the information. And so in that space, then I was pulled in to also advocate and be a partner with the Crisis Center. So I know a bit more information about what it is that we do and what they do in the crisis center. I should say what we do, because like I said, I'm a volunteer. And there are places and spaces there that people can help. And that there, like I said, there are counselors there. And I wouldn't say it's hidden, it's a hidden secret, but of course you want people to feel safe. So anything that where you need to find a safe space, it's something that you can't broadcast, I should say. But I want to broadcast that the crisis center is there and that anybody who needs assistance, Dr. Sandra Dean Patterson, Miss Christie, and the team of persons at the crisis center, they work tirelessly to support women and children. And so I strongly advocate that persons support the crisis center and help to uplift them in the work that they do. And organizations such as ourselves, Zonto, we also partner and support, and we all share in the load and help each other out.
I love that. We're going to take a quick break. Just before our break, my question for the audience, all right, is what is one red flag you believe people should never ignore in a relationship? Let me ask that again. What is one red flag? I know it's many, but I want you all to just give me one red flag you believe people should never ignore in a relationship. Okay? And the number to text, if you want to text, is 422-GR96 or 422-4796. You can also give us a call at 1-242-323-6232, 325-4316, or 325-4259. My Facebook audience, you could go ahead and answer that question as well if you desire. What is one red flag you believe people should never ignore in a relationship? Let's take a quick break.
You need to turn up the volume. This message is for you.
Where are you in your dream business? Have you published your book as yet? Do you feel fulfilled in life? Need help with time management? Or perhaps a breakthrough in your marriage? I believe we can help. At Your Lane Life Coaching, our professional team will help you discover what you really want and take you from where you are to your desired outcome in your life or marriage. Fulfilling your goals is important to us. Call us today at 376-8689 or visit our website at www.yourlanelifecoaching.com. Your Lane Life Coaching, discovering pathways to progress.
At the heart of every great meal is a simple yet powerful idea: quality. At Del Monte, we are committed to cultivating quality, growing the freshest, most nutritious vegetables, fruits, and tomatoes for your family. With non-GMO ingredients and BPA-free packaging, you can trust that every can is packed with goodness. So whether it's a quick snack or a hearty family dinner, Del Monte brings wholesome flavor to your table. Look for it in your favorite food store. Del Monte, fresh taste, smart choices. Distributed by Thompson Trading.
Craving something bold, fresh, and unforgettable? Tropical Gyros is your flavor-packed escape. A Carib-Greek fusion born right here in Nassau. From juicy grilled salmon, chicken, and pork gyros to loaded bowls, fresh salads, wings, and more. There's something for every craving. Find Tropical Gyros at any of their locations: JFK Plaza, Rosetta Street, Port Lucaya Freeport, or their franchise spots on Prince Charles Drive, Soldier Road West, Delaport, and Carmichael Road. Tropical Gyros, not just good food, it's an experience.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everyone, back to Your Lane Talk Show, episode 154, Love Shouldn't Hurt, Ending Domestic Violence Against Women and Children. I am your coach and host, Trishawn Hanna, or Coach Trish Hanna, all right, as affectionately called. All right, and so we have with us members of Zonta Club of Nassau and Zonta Club of New Providence. And of course, they're coming as one, and they're calling it the Zonta Club of the Bahamas. That's it?
Yes.
Good.
The Bahamas,
Thank
yes.
God I mess up these people's names. All right, so we're doing this, and they're doing an excellent job. Of course, ensuring that we get the word out, especially to women and, of course, children who may find themselves in abusive relationships and domestic violence at large. Now, let me just go real quick to the texter here that says, Coach Trish, Hanna, I'm grateful that the Crisis Center helps women and children, but what about the men? Can't men be victims of violence as well? Well, we know that men can be victims of violence, most definitely, right? But of course, this particular show goes, and we're honing in specifically to women and children. But of course, yes, I'm sure the Crisis Center deals with males as well. So I don't know if anyone want to speak about that real, quick, because of course we want to focus on the matter at hand.
Absolutely. The Crisis Center is there for every Bahamian citizen. They're not just there for women. So men, if you find yourself in abusive situations, abusers can be anybody. It could be a woman, it could be a man, it could be a child. The Crisis Center, while we do not work for the Crisis Center, we do have a volunteer here. But the Crisis Center absolutely helps women, men, and children.
Okay, I hope we were able to answer that question. So if you find yourself, listen here, I don't want y'all to think that women don't abuse men. You have some women out there let me stay focused. All right, there are some women who abuse men as well, and it could be in different factors and different ways. Of course, it don't have to be physical abuse. There are other forms of abuse, as we've stated earlier in the show. But we want to stay focused, man. All right, we want to stay focused. So, of course, before we went on our break, the question was, why do you think so many women stay in abusive relations? That's not the question. That's one of the questions I wanted to ask you all. My question was,
Signs.
Yeah, what are some red signs that you can actually see in the relationship beforehand? And so some of our Facebook listeners stated, how anger shows up is a red flag. Big anger for small matters. And someone else says, never ignore how they act when they are angry. So obviously anger is something that we definitely have to look at. Someone else says controlling behavior as well. All right. So these are just one of the many signs, okay, that can be seen in the earlier part of your relationship before you even say I do. So for goodness sake, open your eyes. Ask the Lord to open your eyes so you could see these things. Love does not hurt. Okay, that's very important to note. Love does not hurt. And of course, if someone is shouting at you, abusing you in any form, that's not love. You may feel as if it's love. Remember in high school, man, y'all let's be loosen up a little bit. Maybe y'all the innocent ones, the innocent teenagers, right? But I had one or two friends who would brag about child. And this particular friend was dating a bus driver. All right, and child, I can't do this and I can't do that because he may hit me and key, like they laughing like this is a big deal. Mm-hmm. You do have people in relationships, teenagers in relationships with sometimes and even older, that maybe perhaps the same age, who would, choke hold, because I've seen that too in the hallways. Their girlfriends were sitting next to another guy, or some of those other things that we. And then back in the days, we used to thought it was just funny. Child, look how we doing that or whatever. But these things are telltale signs that this is not a flourishing relationship. Nothing is going to come out of that except what? If not the least of it, death. Right? So let's talk to these teenagers who may be tuning in right now. Let's share some insight on, let's give them some wisdom about what relationships or healthy relationships look like.
Well, what comes to mind is speaking with a counselor. She shared with us a few years ago that they had a conversation with the young girls in high school, and they said, if he doesn't hit me, he doesn't love me. And I'm like, what? If he doesn't hit you, he doesn't love you. So we're going to go back. What is a healthy relationship? What does it look like? Mm-hmm. Definitely not to be attacked, not to be hit, not to be touched in a negative light. You're supposed to show affection in a positive way, show love, a kind touch, a soft touch, not something to bring harm. So that'll be one comment that love doesn't hurt, as you mentioned earlier, doesn't hurt. So if someone hits you, no, that is not a sign of a good relationship. That's an unhealthy relationship. So that's a big one. A true friend would be honest and sincere. They would not talk down to you. They will not wish you harm. So if someone's wishing you harm and threatening you, that is not a healthy relationship. That is an unhealthy relationship. So you have to try your best to separate yourself from someone like that. That is toxic. So try to surround yourselves with a person who will uplift you, who will encourage you, and stay in the right direction.
Okay, here's another text message. Says, one red flag is when women get physical. Because when women get physical, if you do nothing, you're called a punk and they continue. And if you respond, you're known as a woman beater. It's a lose-lose situation. Okay, texter. All right. Okay, so that's from a male's perspective. I guess for a male, you have to, you have to restrain yourself. There are some women who attack. I've seen it too.
Yes,
who
absolutely.
attack men for various reasons. And, the men obviously have to try to restrain themselves as much as possible. All right, so ladies, come, let's share now. We're going to share about children. Let's share about, okay, if a teacher sees a child, we spoke about this earlier, that used to be so vibrant, that used to be talkative, used to always have their hands up, to share the answers that they may have. And then, as time progresses, you realize that this child is becoming more and more distant. All right. And I'm sure that there are more telltale signs, but I don't know if you all can actually share a few more of those signs from a let's say a teacher is looking out, or maybe a neighbor is looking out, or you, once again, as I stated, you're at a family function and you know that this child used to be nice and always talkative, always sociable, but they've distanced themselves. What are some signs there other than the distancing that we can say, okay, this child is being abused?
I think another of the signs would be the child acting out, just being disrespectful. Sometimes they are, that the child normally would have been a good-natured child, but now, they're talking back to you, they're saying things to you that they would not normally have said, and you don't know where that's coming from. If it's a parent, and sometimes the child, if a child's being abused by someone else, and the child just withdraws or starts to act out and basically gets that situation where they're saying, I want you to leave me alone. And I always tell persons that, especially when you have them going through the puberty stage, that is not the time to leave children alone. It's a time to don't let them go in the bedroom and shut the door and leave me alone and don't talk to them. You give them some space, and then you go and you start to talk to them and find out, what's going on with you. There's something that's going on with you. You can tell me, I won't. Nothing bad is going to happen to you. I'm a safe place and a safe space that you can trust. But we should, as adults, we should not use combative responses and language in order to deal with the child that we see is acting out.
Okay. All right.
Another thing that I think is important to note as it relates to signs, if you see a child that's very jumpy, they see a male come inside the room and they seem to be jumpy or afraid and all of a sudden freezes. You also see that when you just lift your hand to do something and a child pitches because they're afraid that, oh, someone's about to hit me. So those are some of the things that are obvious telltale signs for when children are being abused, either verbally, sexually, or physically. Those are very important signs to pay attention to, especially as teachers and guardians of children, aunts, uncles, grandparents. All of us need to pay attention to those things because we're a society that works that that counts on family members to take care of our children and all that sort of thing. But sometimes if you're to work all the time and then you realize that something has shifted about the reactions of your child, that is very important to pay attention to, because they could be in a situation where they're being abused by somebody, and it could be somebody close to them.
Okay, so how can survivors of childhood abuse heal, and what support systems are most effective in helping them recover? I know for a fact we're going to have a therapist that's coming on board, so I guess that particular question I can ask them, right? But in the interim, I'm thinking now about the fact that not all abuse is physical, once again, when it comes to children. So there might be some things, like you said, the whole, pitching, the distancing of themselves or whatever have you. But I'm sure that there are some other things that let's look at abuse. What are some things that you know for a fact are a form of abuse for children, right? So let's share some of them.
Now, you started to share with the bus driver. So you look at those children who are vulnerable financially. You find that persons tend to prey on those young people, young girls and boys, men, women, everyone. So if they know, okay, you don't have any funds to pay for food, lunch, or to pay for your books, or the upkeep, they'll exploit that particular vulnerability. And so if we know we have a friend or someone who's in need, they may not have lunch, they may need funds for transportation, let's see if we can support them. Because sometimes we see persons are in need, we're like, oh, they'll be all right, we don't have to worry about them. But if we have a woman, girl, boy, man who in need, we should look out for each other. I find a lot of times we see persons in need, we're like, whatever, someone will take care of it. But if we fill in that void, we wouldn't have all those persons exploited and who are taken advantage of financially or even verbally or sexually. It wouldn't get to that level if we stop it in its tracks. So like I said, we need to see. If we see something, say something. Open the door of conversation. Do you need any assistance? I'm here anytime. Don't force it. Once persons see you available to help, they will come to you once you have the door open. But that's the key right there, what you raised, financial abuse.
So are there any other forms of abuse of children because you have so many, because even neglect, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel
so
like
let's cover that, because that's all. Come on, half of the times if we honestly abuse in a way, I think a friend of mine, she and I were talking about this. I believe that most of our parents would have been locked all the way up.
All the way.
If what they would have done to us back then would have been a big highlight to say, okay, this is the form of abuse, this is not right, this is not called discipline. So let's differentiate, if y'all can help me with this. What is the difference between abuse and discipline? Anyone can answer that?
I think it's a thin line, especially in today's time.
Our
I think
culture.
one of the ways I think we can look at it just from the layperson perspective is the way you're carrying it out. What is your state of mind that you're in when you're actually disciplining a child? Because a lot of people, they go through a whole lot throughout the day. They have bad days. Everything is going wrong. And then they come home and then they take it out on the children. That form of anger towards life, and then you're trying to discipline your children in that same moment, that is a big red flag. That is a big reason why, or a big situation as to how a lot of children end up being abused physically, because their parents, when they're disciplining them, parents, guardians, whomever is disciplining them, they're disciplining them from a place of anger rather than a place of, okay, I'm going to discipline you today because you did this wrong, but I'm going to tell you that, okay, I may spank you, and it may be a very gentle spank, but this is the lesson, and this is why I'm spanking you, this is why this is wrong. So when you discipline someone from a place of love versus a place of your life anger, that's where abuse comes in.
That was juicy. Latoya, you want to piggyback on that one?
Odessa, she wrapped it up at the end about the love doesn't hurt. And that's what I always bring it back to. We use that line all the time and said love doesn't hurt. And that's in any form or fashion and in any relationship. It should not be anything hurtful. When you are disciplining a child, you're doing it for their benefit. And I remember we all laughed at this when we were growing up, when the parent used to say, it's gonna hurt me more than it
hurts
hurts you. Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. And the child would be like, yes. Yeah, well, then you wouldn't do this to me if it was going to hurt you more. But as you get older and you become a parent, you understand what that really means because, of course, you do not want to inflict any type of harm on that beautiful child that you brought into this world and you're trying to raise and you're trying to give it everything that it needs and nurture and comfort it. But then there is a time when you realize that, I need to do something to get a correction out of this child. I need to try and assist this child and get a corrective behavior for their benefit because at the end of the day, I don't want them to have to suffer because I didn't intervene. So that is, I think, the difference.
I love that. And now we have on with us from Zoom a therapist, Michelle Forbes. Is that correct?
Dr. Deetra Bethel.
Oh, sorry,
Dr. Deetra Bethel.
Dr. Deetra
Bethel. She's the
Bethel. Mm-hmm. That's no problem. That's
Yes.
She's a part of Zonta as well.
She's director, Dr. Deetra Bethel. She is the advocacy chair for the Zonta Club of
Excellent.
Nassau.
Let's see if we can get her on. Chris, do we have her? Good afternoon, Dr. Bethel.
Good afternoon. How are you?
There you go. We're doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, very well. So happy to be here with you all this afternoon.
Thank you for being a part of Your Lane Talk Show. Now, there were some questions that y'all call it sisters? How y'all
Sisters,
say
you
it?
have it.
Right?
Sisters.
Right? They can only answer so much, ma'am. I'm just letting you know. Okay? But which is good. They did an excellent job on that. But of course, we want to get information from a therapist's point of view in reference to dealing with children and women who experience domestic abuse. Now, in an instance where there is a woman that may want to come out of the relationship but don't know the exit strategy, how important is it to have an exit plan? And what are some things that she can do? Perhaps she may not know how to exit. What are some ways that she can exit out of an abusive situation?
Okay. Let me take the first part of the question first. How important is it to have an exit plan? It is fundamentally important.
Yes.
Have an exit plan. Far too often, our women go back into the situation or stay in the situation just because they don't know how to get out. Mm-hmm. So, a couple of things that they need to be aware of. They need to be aware of what are their options. So, where can they go? Where's a refuge spot? Do I go to the Bahamas Crisis Center and already have a plan before I say to the abuser that I'm leaving? So again, having that plan in place prior to saying to the abuser that you are leaving. Now, that is in those situations where there is not imminent danger. If there's imminent danger, you just pack up and get to the crisis center or to foam or something like that. So it's important for them to have that exit strategy. Secondly, it's important for them to understand how important they are and their children are in the relationship. What happens is, or not what happens is, but as far too often, our children are overlooked. However, there are parents who will stay only for the children. And of course, we do not advocate that you stay for the children. We want you to leave with the children. Now, I can tell you that I've had at least in one incident where a mother left with her child, not children, and was sleeping on the streets because she had nowhere to go. So again, it's important to have an exit strategy, to have a plan. Social services is also a plan in terms of connecting with them, but it's important to have that plan, have some kind of options for yourself. Like I said, if it's social services, if it is phone, if it's the crisis center, but have an option first. And I think that is the biggest thing. Now, I do not mean that you sit in the abusive situation. No, it is important for you to immediately move yourself and your children out of that abusive situation, because that situation is impacting both you as well as the children.
I'm so happy that you shared that, because my the next question would have been how important is timing, because you don't want to just pick up at any point of time to leave. But then you did say, you want to be as swift as possible. But
Yes.
I'm sure that planning would be timing, right? Because you don't want to go while, your husband or boyfriend is drunk and he's already hyped up and ready, you know what I mean? So you have to
Correct.
know when. So can you share, when would be the appropriate time to make your exit?
Okay, so you're talking about more emotionally than physically, in terms of physically there, the being hit or being abused constitutes imminent danger. So that's more immediate. Now, if you do not feel as if you are in immediate danger, and having creating a plan is important. What you can do, the first thing you want to do is, your mate, be it male or female. You know who they are. So you want to wait until they are in a good mood, because you know them, for you to make your exit strategy. But my thing is, regardless to whether or not the person is in a good mood, it really depends on you and how you manage the process of moving out. I don't think that we should really focus on the abuser, but focus on the person who's being abused. And when is that person ready? What do we need to do to get that person ready in order to move? And actually, that's a very difficult process to get the person ready to move, because they understand the hurt, they feel the pain, but also they feel the safety, or what they consider safety. So regardless to what that person, the mood that person is in, regardless, it is you have to have your own personal plan. Does it make sense? Did I answer your question?
Yes, ma'am. It sure did. Now, I'm led to just start, just you guys just stating the numbers, ladies, stating the numbers at this moment. Is it a 24-hour hotline available for those who may be in an abusive situation?
center,
The crisis
yes.
center. Can you share that number real quick, please?
So I don't have.
I have the number. It's
The numbers are here.
328-0922. That's 328-0922. That's the crisis center 24-hour hotline.
Right, beautiful, thank you.
3280922. Okay. I'm sorry, Dr. Bethel. That question was for the ladies, because I think they had it on hand. But here's my other question to you, because there's a texter that says, now before you came on, we were talking about child abuse. Okay.
Right.
So because we had you on, we wanted to share a little bit about, with women. But let's get back, because there's a texter that says, if the correction leaves a mark on the child, then that's the line. That's not a thin line. What my question to our ladies here, our guests, was, what's the difference between abuse and discipline? So that's the texter that actually answered that question. I don't know if you want to feel free to answer that question as well. What is the difference between abuse and discipline?
So abuse, it entails excessive force. Discipline. So if you are disciplining your child in anger, that is probably abusive. So if it's extreme, not even extreme, but if it is if it's beating that child in anger, you're probably going to cross the line to abusive. Now, if it is this is not maybe making a proponent of physical disciplining, but I'm just saying, if it is the case that you are very controlled, that you know what you're doing, that you don't lose it, for lack of a better term, when you're punishing your child, then it's more likely that it is discipline. But if you lose it, like many parents do, especially Bahamian parents, if you lose it, then and beating your child in anger, that is probably abuse. Make sense?
Yes, ma'am. It sure does make sense, right? All right. So let's talk about children who witness abuse from their parents. They see what their father may be doing to their mother. Like, what are some of the long term effects that can happen if they're if they get to see what's going on in the household? How does that impact them in the future?
Right. Well, I will tell you that there's no cookie cutter model to say what will happen, but I will tell you abuse is cyclical, meaning that it goes in cycles. And typically, abused children become abusive parents. That especially if you are not treated, particularly with mental health treatment, the abuse is typically cyclical. So, yes, my daddy did it, and it ain't bother nobody, so I'm going to do it. And that is how that cycle remains. Now, we do have persons who break the cycle, and oftentimes they've gone through treatment. So that helps them to not perpetuate the cycle and break that cycle. But that's typically what happens. Abusive, cyclical. If I'm abused and not dealt with the emotional impact of it, why did this happen? How can I not do this? Are there signs or symptoms of me doing it? And you'll see it in the as the kids start to grow up, because you will see children or young teenagers, as they start to date, they start to be aggressive with their partners. No, you can't go this way. You have to stay with me, that kind of thing. And then it can escalate to actually hitting. So I will say to this, hurting people hurt. And typically, if you do not have treatment after witnessing abusive relationships, you tend to become abusive as well.
Yeah, we see that. So you said there's treatment, because we're going to talk now about having to break the cycle. You may have someone who's tuning in who may say, guess what, I don't want to hurt my children, but I've been abused. I don't want to hurt my wife, but I've been abused. I don't want to hurt people around me, but I've been abused. How can that cycle be broken?
So, I'm a therapist, so the first thing I'm going to say is treatment. I think it's important for you to go into treatment. And of course, every therapist has a different way of treating persons. But helping persons who have been a victim to understand that they can they don't have to be a victim all their lives. They can make the choices, so they can be a survivor as opposed to feeling as if they are a victim. And I will tell you, that is a different mindset. They need their mindset to change. Instead of thinking that they are victims, learning that they are survivors of a difficult situation. Another thing is to helping them to understand their emotions and accept their emotions, because a lot of times the victims suppress their emotions. We know, so we'll say to them, no, we need you to understand your emotions so that you can accept those emotions as if they are real, and they are absolutely real. So when you think about situations where the victim, and I'm putting it in quotes, feels angry, but they don't want to feel angry. No, we allow them to feel angry. We give them a safe space in which to feel angry. That's one of the things that we would do. So we would also help them to identify what are triggers in their lives. What are some of the things that makes you feel hurt or upset or angry based on your history with an abusive person. So what are some of those triggers? And when we recognize those triggers, then we work to address whatever it is that triggered us. So that triggers is certainly something that's important, and that happens in a lot of females as well as males too, but in a lot of females where something happens because they've witnessed it in the home, and that perpetuates their anger or their misbehavior. So you'll also see them doing some of the untoward things in the society as well. Could potentially be a symptom.
Okay, so I'm glad that you said that, because you do have some teachers who may be tuning in, some caregivers, guardians, etc., even Sunday school teachers, etc., and then they get to see how children respond in certain ways. Now, how can a teacher or caregiver, etc., support a child who has been abused without causing further trauma? Because I know there are going to be times when there may be triggers for whatever reason, but how can they help someone who has already, a child who has already experienced it, went through it, then had that trigger, may probably, just do an outburst? How can we help that individual?
Now, I'm going to do a promo right now because the answers from many perspectives will be given on our webinar that we're having tomorrow evening. We have a psychologist is going to speak to that. We have someone from the Ministry of Education is going to speak to how to assist these children. We have a pediatrician. We have a school counselor too, who's going to be there to talk with that. We have someone from an international perspective, and we also have a victim. So I will tell you that it would be a great place to go onto our Zonta website and look at and get the link and register for that webinar. So that webinar would answer that question. But I will say this to you. One of the important things is to be there for that child. One of the most important things is to be there for that child. Sometimes that child just needs someone to say, it's okay. And that is far too often, not far too often, but that is often one of the things that the children need, just to find a place of peace. So I don't know, this is more cliche, but breathe at peace for children. So if you see something that's going on with a child, Tommy, come, let's talk. And you sit Tommy down in your office, or in this quiet place in your classroom. How are you doing today, Tommy? I just want to sit with you and let you know that I am here for you, just to talk. So give them that safe space in which to be able to share or not share and you don't want to force them to share. You just want to provide that safe space for them, that safe, quiet space, if that's what the child needs. So you ask them, well, first of all, you let them come to you, but you ask them, do you need to talk? How are you? If they do not want to talk, just allow them, okay, well, I'm going to sit here with you for 5 minutes, and just allow them to not talk, or more time, spend more time with them if you are if the child is talking. So I would think that the biggest thing is providing that safe space. Now, I also want us to know that we have to be vigilant as teachers, as school counselors. If you see a child's mood changing, this is not a happy-go-lucky child that I would have seen a month ago. That's when you start to ask questions about the child, or to the child. If the child comes in and is not dressed well, then it's the time to ask a question. If the child comes in and starts all of a sudden acting out, then you ask the question, what's going on? If that child suddenly become more reclusive, then you ask the question, what's going on? So you've got to pay attention to the child. If that child is wearing a sweater all the time, even in the heat, you want to ask what's going on. So we need to stop and watch our children. But again, the biggest thing is providing a safe space.
Thank you. Dr. Bethel, you've been more than helpful for us. Thank you so much. Just going to ask one more question because we actually have just about 10 more minutes before we close. But my question is, what message would you give to a woman or a child listening right now who feels trapped, scared, or alone? What message would you give to them? If they're the ones going through this right now, what can you tell them tonight, this afternoon?
I would say you are not alone. I would say that again, you are not alone. We have places like Bahamas Crisis Center, social services, phone, who will assist you. You are not alone. And you do not have to stay in a situation where you are being abused. You matter. You matter. Okay, I know it's more than one thing, but
No, that's fine. That's fine. Someone says an offer a listening ear. That's correct. Absolutely. 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 Dr. Bethel, thank you so much for your insight. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back on, we're going to share a couple more minutes just talking, as Dr. Bethel says, some little promos, because I found your flyer for Zonta about the webinar that she was referring to that I would love to share on social media, so I'll do that right after these messages, and any other events that may be taking place with Zonta, we're going to give them an opportunity to share that, okay? So for those who are tuning in, listen, I hope you all been taking notes. I'm sure you know someone who may know someone who've been in some type of domestic violence or abuse that you would want to share this information with. So go ahead, and before we close the show, we're gonna disclose the numbers to call as well, so that they can share, if they're going through it, they want to know like what's the next step, what to do, who to call, how do I exit. All of that can be shared with the individual, whoever answers the phone for the crisis center. I think it is the crisis center. And of course, Dr. Bethel stated that there's also FOAM and another institution. Sorry? 711. The number to call.
Yes.
For the national suicide. Yeah, 711 on child abuse. Yes. Right? So we're gonna let's just take a break there, because after the show we're gonna get all that information so that you could have it at your what's the word I'm trying to get? Leisure. That ain't the word, but I'll use that one. Disposal. That's the word. Thank you so much. All right, let's take a break.
this holiday season. Let Airwick fill your home with the mist of happiness. Enjoy limited edition scents like apple cinnamon medley, glistening snow and frosted mint, sweet vanilla and shea butter, all infused with natural oils to bring warmth and cheer. Find Airwick's essential mist diffusers and scented oil warmers at Kelly's, Lowe's Pharmacy, Paradise Premium Foods, and Family Island locations. Airwick, activate your holiday essence.
You need to turn up the volume. This message is for you.
Where are you in your dream business? Have you published your book as yet? Do you feel fulfilled in life? Need help with time management? Or perhaps a breakthrough in your marriage? I believe we can help. At Your Lane Life Coaching, our professional team will help you discover what you really want and take you from where you are to your desired outcome in your life or marriage. Fulfilling your goals is important to us. Call us today at 376-8689 or visit our website at www.yourlanelifecoaching.com. Your Lane Life Coaching, discovering pathways to progress.
John Shoes and Accessories is your one-stop shop for all your footwear needs. You will find what you're looking for among the growing collection of classic and trendy styles with new arrivals every week. John's covers the whole family and has great prices, helpful and friendly customer service. Your experience shopping with us will be time well spent. Shop with us online at www.johnshoes.com. John's also now carries small home appliances, so come on into John's, located on Rosetta Street in Palmdale and Carmichael Road West. John's, we put fashion at your feet.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Hey, everyone. Thank you for coming and tuning and staying with us on Your Lane Talk Show with Coach Trish Hanna. As we are wrapping up the close, we are giving our Zonta Club members an opportunity to share everything that's taken place between now and the end of the year. I want to share a flyer real quick that I received. This is the 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence, Say No to Violence webinar that is taking place on Tuesday, November 25th. Of course, the registration, you'll be able to go on their website so that you can get the link for that. But of course, I'm going to allow Madam President to continue on with whatever promos, according to Dr. Bethel, that may be taking place with Zonta.
Thank you. Just to highlight, the 16 Days of Activism begins on Tuesday, November 25th, which is International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, and it ends on December 10th, which is Human Rights Day. So we will ask you to support us by painting your offices, wherever you are, orange. You can have bows, you could wear your shirts on that Friday to just support our Say No to Violence campaign, so we can create a better world for women and girls. The theme for the United Nations is End Digital Violence Against All Women and Girls. Also, the Zonta Club of Nassau, we are putting a light on our children. Our theme is Healthy Relationships from Hurt to Healing, giving voice to our children. We had launched a post and TikTok competition in which our children were able to express themselves through art on what a healthy relationship should look like. So the art exhibition should be starting on the 25th, where you'll see the various pieces that were submitted for the poster competition. And also we will have our webinar, which will be on November 25th. And our theme is From Hurt to Healing, Giving Voice to Our Children. And on November 30th, we'll be tying ribbons in the Montague foreshore area to raise awareness, and we'll have a No to Violence sign so that you can remember, hey, let's say no to violence. Let's share the conversation on how to have healthy relationships and make a difference and help others in the community who might be hurting and who may be experiencing abusive relationships. We will be sharing literature as well during the Best of the Best, who is also partnering with us. So on December 6th, we will be sharing literature at the Best of the Best right there on the Montague foreshore. So we'll be distributing information on telling you the various types of abuse, what is a healthy relationship, and those contact numbers that you may need for assistance, such as the Crisis Center and the 711 for social services. In addition, on December 5th, we'll have our T-shirt day where you wear your orange, and those shirts will be focusing on giving our children a voice, no to violence. And so those shirts are $15 each. You can contact us at 8073021 or at Zonta Club of Nassau at hotmail.com for your shirts and to raise awareness. Thank you.
Thank you. Guess what? Something is happening tonight as well. I have the flyer for those who on social media be able to see that. Talk to us about it. Who's going to share that?
So that's the Zonta Club of New Providence. We're hosting a webinar in line with the international topic, which is going to be we're going to unite to end digital violence against women and girls. Our very own Dr. Denotra Archer Cartwright is going to be heading the Zoom session, the panel discussion, and we're going to have professionals in the field speaking to us in that panel discussion. We're going to have someone from the Cyber Crimes Unit, Officer Fernanda. We're going to have Dr. Sean Knowles. He's a psychiatrist or psychologist, sorry. We're also going to have Dr. Paul Scavala as well on that panel. It's going to be a very interesting panel discussion tonight, talking about the digital space and violence against women on the digital space.
I love that. So, of course, if you want to get the Zoom links, how do they get that?
The Zoom link is available on our Facebook page, but if you have a pen, you can quickly write down the Zoom link. The Zoom number is 865-4955-4695. So that's the meeting ID, which is 865-4955-4695. And the passcode for this evening is 76582. Passcode is 768-582. Let me repeat that. I think I messed that up. Passcode is 768-582.
Thank you so much, Odessa. Is there anything else that I'm missing, ladies? I want to make sure y'all get everything covered before we leave.
Yes, we do have a couple more events being done directly by the Zonta Club of New Providence. One of those is going to be our Say No to Violence panel discussion with the University of Bahamas. We cannot leave out our young people. No. We're going to have on Thursday, November 27th, 5 p.m. in the Harry C. Moore Library. We're having a panel discussion there. And then as well, again, on Friday the 28th, there's going to be a Zoom discussion, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. The panel discussion is, again, Unite to End Digital Violence. It's the symposium on the Thursday. We're going to have a whole lot of speakers come in and speak on digital violence and make the students more aware of what's happening. Closing out our 16 days of activism for the Zonta Club of New Providence, we're going on the 29th of December. We're going to have a live remote where we're going to talk about violence against women. We're going to tie our orange bows in the Harbor Bay Shopping Center, and that's where we're going to end with our raffle, because we've been using our raffle to also raise funds for our initiatives as it relates to stopping violence against women and girls. So our raffle will be drawn at 4 o'clock on Saturday the 29th at Harbor Bay Shopping Center, where we will be painting the shopping center orange with orange bows and bringing awareness to violence against women and girls. And I think that is the last of it the tying of the bows. That is the last of it. But we do have one final event, which is going to be December 12th. We're going to say no to violence to help the vulnerable population. So we're going to meet on December 12th at the Herring Room in the Physical Planning Building on JFK at 10 a.m. And we're going to serve the vulnerable there. And, there's another event. Our final event for the year as it relates to service is going to be where we're going to partner with the Salvation Army, and we're going to feed the elderly. So normally we, for the past 3 years, we've been in conjunction with the Salvation Army, we've been feeding over 200 elderly in the community. Mm-hmm. So they're getting a really good meal, ham, turkey, you name it, the works. And they're going to just register through the Salvation Army, and then they will just do a drive up, and we actually distribute the food.
I love that. You all are doing so well. I love this. How can the public support Zonta's mission? Now, are there ways for individuals or businesses to partner, volunteer, or contribute to the work that you all are doing?
One of the ways, at Zonta Club of New Providence, we're raising funds all year round, trying to get corporate sponsors to come in. We have our largest fundraiser on December 6th, which is our wine dinner. We do that as a fundraiser for the community so that we can have the funds to actually reach out and help a lot of the women. We talked about earlier the about if the message gets out. We have people call people that are members of our clubs all the time that are in the midst of a domestic situation and they need help right away. We have partners that we can actually pull them out of the environment and put them up for a week, because we have partners that actually do that. So when we raise funds, we're able to do all of that. So right now we're closing out our raffle, which is going to end next week, Saturday. The wine dinner is coming up. We look for corporate sponsors all the time to help to fund our events. And like President said earlier, one of our biggest things is funding. If we can get the public to partner with us, the corporate sponsors, when you see Zonta out there asking for donations, asking for you to partner with us, it's not that we're going to take this money and abuse it. We are helping a whole lot of women and girls. We go into the schools, we go into the community, and we help persons. We feed people. We do healthy relationships. We do courses like entrepreneurship classes where we help underprivileged women to prepare them for the workplace. So we do a whole lot, and we do it free of charge. One of our big events that we held the other day, we did a sewing class through QC. The other day we took 16 or 17 women through a sewing class, and we gave them sewing machines at the end of the class, a free class through continuing education. So a lot of that is where the money goes. So we encourage corporate sponsors to join us in this fight against violence and empowering women and girls.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We had with us Latoya Johnson, Odessa Francis, and Dr. Deetra Bethel. I said that correctly?
Yes, you did.
Right, and of course, Michelle Forbes, the president of Zonta Club of Nassau. With us, it was just a delight hearing the information from all of you. I know for a fact that people have been touched, and especially those who may be presently going through what they're going through, they're able to understand and identify, and of course, reach out to the various institutions and organizations that can help them further. All right? And so, Latoya, just before we end, is there anything that you want to share?
Yes, I would like to tell everyone out there to speak up, because silence hides violence.
That's right. No, but it's
Taken
true.
from you.
Take it. Silence hides violence.
Yes.
All right.
Speak
Listen,
up,
as
be
we
the
wrap
voice.
up today's show, I want to remind each of you, under the sound of my voice, that God does not ignore pain. Okay, He does not overlook fear. He does not call abuse love. That's not who He is. If you are a woman or a child in a situation where love hurts, hear me, God is not the author of that pain. Okay, His word says He is close to you. He sees the tears nobody else sees. Okay, He hears the cries that never even came out of your lips, just by your emotions. He knows that. He can feel that. All right, He is a God who saves, who rescues, who brings freedom. Of course, love the way that God is. God wants us to love the way that He designed for us to love. Especially, we can find that in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, that love is patient, love is kind, love does not envy, love does not parade itself, it is not puffed up, does not behave rudely, does not seek its own, and is not provoked. Okay? It thinks no evil, does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. Love is safe, y'all. Love is protective. It does not control, okay? It does not threaten. It does not destroy. So today, let this be a reminder. You are worthy of love, and love does not hurt. You are worthy of peace. You are worthy of safety. There is hope for you. All things are possible because Christ dwells with you, and because you are alive, there is hope, and better days are coming. All right, I just wanted to share that for someone out there who needs to hear it. God is with you, and He will never leave you, nor will He forsake you. Now, my final thing is, of course, I want to make sure those numbers are being stated one more time before I end the show, please.
The number for the 24-hour hotline for the Crisis Center is 328-0922. Again, the number for the Crisis Center hotline is 328-0922. And the number for the Child Abuse hotline, the suicide hotline for social services is 711. Again, 711.
Thank you. Your Lane Talk Show, episode 154, Love Shouldn't Hurt, Ending Domestic Violence Against Women and Children, is brought to you by Your Lane Life Coaching, John Shoe Store and Accessories, Airwick, distributed by Thompson Trading, Tropical Gyros, Del Monte, distributed by Thompson Trading, Zonta Club of Nassau Children's Dream Journal. Okay, if you are a new listener, thank you so much for tuning into Your Lane Talk Show. And of course, for those who are continuously supporting us, we want to thank you. We salute you. Thank you for those texters. Thank you for the caller. Thank you for those who have been tuning in via social media. All right, I pray that you were all encouraged, empowered, and educated today. I'm Coach Trish Hanna, for those who don't know, because we did have a call about that last week. All right, I'm Coach Trish Hanna. This is Your Lane Talk Show. We air from 3:30 to 5 o'clock. It has been a pleasure serving you along with the Zonta Club of Nassau and New Providence today. And until next time, I want you to walk, but when you walk in your lane and stay there. Stay in your lane. And until then, have a happy, happy, happy Sunday. God bless you.
Girl, you see how Cora eye look funny, all black up yesterday?
But she say she bumped into a wall when she's running after the churn them.
Yeah, but last Saturday, you see her arm was all black and blue, right?
What you saying? You think something wrong between her and Jack?
I ain't sure, but you know Jack is a jealous man. I hear him and Cora last Friday. I hear him say he hear Cora have eyes for Junior.
Now you know that ain't true. Cora is a good woman, does mind her business, take care of them churn, and go to church every Sunday. So what you think we should do?
I think we should report Jack, you know. Cora don't say nothing, but silence hides violence, and we don't want to line up in the cemetery.
Not me. I ain't getting in nobody business, then Jack come after me, and I land up next to Cora.
No, man, we could call a text Crime Stopper. And remember, we can even get some grocery money for our tip.
Remind me again, how does this work?
We can call them in Miami at 328-TIPS or 328-8477. Or when we in the island, call toll-free at 300-TIPS or 300-8477. And if you don't have no minutes, use the Crack Crime Bahamas app and we could text them. And the messages get all mixed up before it leave your phone so nobody can know what you saying.
So what we waiting on then? Let's go earn some grocery money.